Back it up, son. Back it up like a Tonka truck. All right, Christina, I need these referrals. You better be on point.
Oh my God. Blue shirt. Blue shirt. Gonna make some sales today.
You know it.
What is today? 5/11.
Really?
You want a 5'11" or 6'2" because I'm.
Bring another table. Yeah.
With chairs.
Wheel one in from the.
Just go grab it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
just grab one of those chairs. You can slide up in these DMs right here.
Oh my God. You're so smooth.
Need more chairs.
There's space on this pinball is pissing me off.
Stop touching it. It's gonna get me worse. Stop touching it. You did a face mask?
Did you do anything this weekend?
I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't do anything on my face. I got to do that full body massage.
Taking tours is so annoying. It's like fun at first and then it's just an annoying task. So many scams. Lots. Yeah, I know. People are crazy. Sometimes the red is not like this. What area are you looking? Nice.
She is. Go, girl.
Hey. Oh wow, that's a big full room.
Sounds like it's a lot.
Where's the volume? Volume check.
Yeah.
Our close ratio, we went over our close.
You treat us too hard.
Told us like.
Okay, that's not fair.
Yeah, oh, it's terrible, but still.
You know,
Let's fucking get it, see money.
We'll give it 4 minutes, just make sure everyone's here.
Everyone.
Yo.
Like,
What up, girl? Hi.
it's more industrial.
Hi,
I don't know. Like,
What's up with the boy Wilson? I see you, boy.
You go like River West.
Right, when am I gonna meet you, bro?
I don't know. I might have to make a trip out there, cuz.
I'm trying to go out the cabin with the fam.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
I lived in Noble Square before, right off of Erie and Ogden there. Wait, like you know where the it's that biker bar. That little area over there, great rent prices, great little area.
He's been out. He's on Zoom.
All right, 10:01. Let's get this show on the road.
Any more people coming, or are we waiting on anyone that we know of?
In her.
Everybody's here.
Everyone's here?
Yep.
All right. Well, if anyone else comes in, they'll just have to join because they're late. Okay, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I am so excited to be spending this Tuesday morning with you guys. I hope you guys got lots of good stuff from this. I know I pretty much talk about referrals every time I have to speak about anything, so I'm sure you can guess what this is going to be about today. So we're going to kind of just touch on why referrals are so important and kind of how I go through them and how I got them. I know you guys have probably heard this a million times over in our workshops, but you know, it's always good to hear more, right? And I actually went through some notes, fire that everyone else has given over the time that I've been here. So hopefully you guys get some good stuff from it, and we'll do questions at the end, and then you guys can, you know, ask whatever you want. Okay. Cool. All right, guys. So obviously we know that referrals are the name of the game, right? If I say it every time, I would not have half the success I've had so far if I did not use referrals to my full advantage. And why are they so important? Well, think about it. You want to work smarter, not harder, right? If you know that referrals are going to get you, a higher show ratio, they're going to have a higher closing ratio, and they're going to get you more referrals, why wouldn't you collect them, right? I mean, you're getting yourself organic leads that you don't have to go and, call people from your impact. So think about it. You already have a connection with these people. You have common ground. So you know a person that they know, you sat with them, you built a relationship with this person. So it already gets your foot in the door with these people, and they already have a sense of trust. Because think about it this way, guys, this person that you sat with, right? Your person, whether it was a sale and not a sale, they would not give you the information to someone else if they did not trust you, right? So it all starts there. These people already trust you at least a little bit. Yeah, you might have some feedback about, oh, hey, who are you? Or, hey, I have to double check with these people. But once they get that confirmation that you did indeed sit with their, family, their friend, whoever it is, they're going to have more trust, right? They're going to be more willing to show up to the appointment, to hear you out, and to actually feel like, somehow connected to you already. So that's the biggest thing, guys. So why are we not doing referrals is another thing, right? And I think it really comes back to like confidence. If you're not confident in asking, right, for the referrals, and it's really like, it's a mindset. The way I see it is we're doing them a favor. I truly believe that we're doing these people a service by getting their people sponsored in, right? So it's all in the mindset, it's all in the confidence and in the belief. So you have to start there. Now, okay, so we already kind of touched on, why it's important, right? So higher show ratio, higher closing ratio, right? If you have to see double, triple the amount of people in a regular lead than you do with referrals, you're doing extra work, right? So see more referrals, higher close ratio, less people you have to sit with for the same results, or you just magnitude your results, basically. Referrals give you more referrals. That's huge, huge, guys. People feel already like excited that they were even chosen, right? The way that we have to build things up, they should feel really excited that they were a person picked to be sponsored into one of our programs or to be listed as a beneficiary, that someone thought so highly of them. So when they're given the opportunity to give that to other people, they're equally excited. But it all starts with your own excitement, right? So if you're not excited, they're not going to be excited. So, getting the referrals from referrals, that's huge, really big. And again, just going back to that, work smarter, not harder. That's going to be big, right? You guys can go ahead and call, your regular leads 20 times over, hoping for someone to answer, or you could call your referral twice and they're going to pick up the phone, right? So again, perspective, it's all in that mindset. We can't be, nervous to call referrals or nervous to collect them or ask for them. Okay. Now, I think realistically, if we think about it, each sit that we should have a minimum of 8 referrals. And I'm not saying that I do this every single time, right? I'm not saying I'm like, the tell-all and I always get 10 reps. That's not it. But, we have to have the mindset that each household has at least 8 to 10 reps right there, minimum. And you're wondering, how, Christina, how are we going to get 8 to 10 reps each house? Well, I'm going to tell you right now how we're going to do it. Okay. So it all starts with your no cost benefits. And we already know that, guys, right? It's that's where we're first introducing sponsoring people in. So what is the first way that we collect referrals? The AIL Plus card, right? And I feel like everyone kind of knows this about me. This is my favorite thing to collect reps on. I could get 10 reps right here. This is it where people get excited. Okay. But it all starts again with your own excitement. So how are we asking for referrals? We have to take a step back and say, okay, if I'm not collecting referrals off the AIL Plus, it's probably because I'm not building up the card. I'm not showing value to these people about what this card does for them and what it's going to do for their family. So it all starts in your energy and your verbiage. Okay. Now I know all of our scripts are a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same thing, guys. So just starting out at the beginning, when I build up the card, I'm not talking about the card and showing a slide and just having them read words off of a screen. I want their undivided attention on me, right? So I hold up the PDF version of, I should have it here somewhere, but I have the PDF version and I hold it up and I introduce the card. Okay, guys, so, the first benefit here, this is going to be our AIL Plus card. Okay, now this was our health service discount card. We actually updated it now. This is going to be actually an app on our phone. We'll go through that in a second. Okay, now what the AIL Plus card was designed to do is it actually saves our members up to 85% off where we saw them spend the most out of pocket. Now, this is going to help you guys with things like eye care, hearing, prescription drugs, chiropractic, and they actually just added dental, which is huge. Now, dental, it used to be $25 a month to even add this on there. Now, it's actually at no cost to you guys, which is awesome. Now, Marquise, I see that you're wearing glasses there, right? So where do you get your glasses from? Okay, you get them there. Awesome. So that'll definitely, we could see if that's included for you. Now, our members are saying that this is saving them up to $2,000 a year in savings. Huge, right? Really big give back. Okay, guys. And then, you go through it a little bit. Obviously, I show them the app builds credibility, right? And then you go back to it. Now, guys, this was not always up to 85% off, right? Our discounts, they started at more like 10%. Then they went up to like 20. And now we're actually all the way up to 85% off. And guys, basically how we get those discounts so high and keep them going higher, we hope, right, is we get more of our members and their families using the card. Because the more members that use the card, the more locations it'll actually work with us and the higher the discount they're going to give us. And guys, I'm sure you've heard this phrase a million times. It just goes back to that good old union buying power. Right. Okay. Yep, exactly. Now, what they're actually allowing all of our members to do is they're giving you guys access to give out only up to 10 of these cards to your friends and your family. Now, guys, great thing about this, it is absolutely no cost to your family or to you. And one card will cover their entire household. So, Mary, I know you said your sister has 4 kids. Guess what? Her whole household is going to be covered with this. And also, guys, they actually don't have to be in a union or group because you're sponsoring them in. Now, of course, again, this is going to give them up to $2,000 a year in savings. So I'll make sure that they give you a call there and, maybe send you some roses as a thank you. Now, who did you want to start with for your first health service discount card? Do you want to start with your sister, Mary? Okay, what is her name again? Okay, great. And her phone number? Okay, and on to the next one. Right, so it all starts with that buildup. It all starts with that. If you don't build up the card, if you're not excited, when you get to that part, they don't feel like they have to give you anyone, right? But you have to make it natural. You have to make it seem like you're doing a really good thing for your family. And then the rest will follow. Okay, so that's my favorite one. Obviously, guys, we know, there's other ways there, right? So next would be child safe. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't do the child safe as much as health service because I just truly think that, the health service covers all pretty much all areas for everyone. Doesn't matter if they have kids, not kids, anything like that. But I definitely do still touch on child safe. Now with that, it's quite easy. People who have kids, they love their kids, right? I know Austin's mom, I know she loves her kids more than anything, right? I mean, I know a lot of you guys are parents. So, you can't fear asking someone to protect their kids or create a safety blanket, right? For the community. That's an easy thing to ask for. So the way you're introducing it is, not that we need their help or we want to get out the cards. It's the policemen and the firefighters, right? So the police and firefighters, they need your help. right? They're not asking for any monetary donations. Don't worry about anything like that. But they are asking that you get these out, to a minimum of 10 families in your area. That way we create a safety blanket, right? So you kind of introduce it that way. And again, you already have their phone out because they should have put in the contact, right, in their phone. Everyone's doing that, I hope, where you put that, you put that child safe number in their phone. So their phone's right there. There shouldn't be an excuse of why they can't find 10 people with kids, right? But let's say with the health service, let's say you ask for 10 and you only get 5, okay? Let's say same thing with child safe. You ask for 10, you get 5. Or we'll even lowball it and say 3 and 3 each if you're doing both. That already puts you at 6 referrals, right? So how are we going to get the rest? Well, there's more ways, right? So child safe health service, that's just your no cost. Now, as you go through, whether, and again, like this is huge too, guys, whether it's, a sale or no sale, either way, we should be getting contingent bennies, especially if it's if it's a union, because they already have that, the 3x5 insurance card. So either way, they have listed a beneficiary. So there's nothing wrong with asking for contingents off of a no sale. But either way, after we go through that, so we have our contingents. So if it's a sale, obviously super, super easy to ask for and get at least 4 referrals, right? Now, of course, first 2, if it's a husband, wife, they're probably going to be each other, right? Maybe they want to, list each other as that. That's fine. But then you still have at least 3 beneficiaries, right? So that's huge. Now, contingents, it's pretty much, in my mind, I think of it as a requirement. So again, it's all a mindset. It's how we're introducing it. It's how we're talking about it. It's how we, pretty much put the importance out there that we're helping them by doing this. So, you kind of go into it as, okay, guys, so you're wrapped up with everything, right? You've already got their primary, their secondary through the application. You do, you go through, you're rating everything like that. Okay, guys, so one of the last things that we're going to do for you today is we're going to realign your beneficiaries. Okay, now, of course, Joe and Mary, you have each other as your first and second. We have your sister Sally as your second for both of you guys. So that's great. We have that. But guys, due to that $1.71 billion of life insurance that went unclaimed last year alone, what the company actually requires is that we not only have just a first and a second beneficiary, but that we also list a third, fourth, and honestly, guys, even a 5th beneficiary there, so that money could never go unclaimed. Okay, that death benefit is always going to go to your family. Okay, so Mary, we'll start with you first. Who did you want to put as your third beneficiary? Okay, great. And you go through there. I usually ask a wife first because hubby will look at wife and say, oh, who should we put? Right? So you just ask the wife first. She usually wears the pants and she'll be the one deciding who gets the money at the end of the day. So, you can ask it up either way you want, but I promise you, I never have any trouble with getting contingent. And if they're truly like, hey, there's no one else I want to give this money to, it's my kids or no one and this and that, then yeah, don't fight them on it, obviously, but make sure that they know that as long as that's unclaimed, it doesn't, as long as there's no one listed there, it's a possibility it can go unclaimed. So they usually don't give you any pushback. And a lot of times people have different people that they want to give, right? Different siblings, different family members, things of that sort. So now that's easy. So now you've collected your contingents, right? But here's the thing. How many of you guys, and I just want to see hands, how many of you guys are actually rolling your contingents? Sort of, kind of? Okay. Only a handful, right? That's a game changer. Game changer. And I know sometimes these sits, they're long. Right? We feel like we're at the end. Maybe they just want to go. We have a next member waiting for us, right? We got someone in the waiting room. Love the one you're with. Don't be so quick to run to the next one, right? Because the person you're with is the person who could set you up with your next 2, 3, 4 I don't even want to say weeks, I want to say months of people, right? So why are we so quick to jump to the next person? We got to roll them. We got to get them on our schedule now. If I have a Jersey number and I call someone, from here, and they don't know my number, they just see Jersey, they have no clue who I am. You think they're going to answer me quicker than they're going to answer their sister? No shot. No shot. So we have to roll the contingents, guys. We're already with them. The only thing is if if it's a single person, they're on the phone for Zoom and they don't have a computer, that's the only reason they were on the phone for Zoom. Then yeah, it might be a little hard for them to call while you're on there. But that is a more of a rare situation. And even if it's not super rare, there's still ways around it that you can get them in contact while you're on that Zoom call. So what does rolling referrals look like? Okay, so we collected, right? Now I have Joe and Mary's third, fourth, and even fifth beneficiary each. I have their primary, I have their secondary, right? So I always start with the primary, secondary. Now, if primary is each other, then I'm doing secondary and third. I always try to roll at least 2 of those referrals. That's my staple, 2. Honestly, it should be 4. That's on me. I'm not pushing myself to do 4, right? But at least 2 is what, 5 minutes each, maybe 8 to 10 minutes if it's a real long conversation, but it's never that long, right? So 5 minutes each, that's an extra 10 minutes in your sit. That's not gonna push your next person along, right? So what does it look like? Okay, so starting with you, Mary, we have your sister Sally, like we said. So, okay, let's go ahead and do this. Now, what the company actually requires is that we give them a call, right? And I have to get them on my schedule to make sure that they accept the role of being a beneficiary and that we get them all the proper paperwork. Okay, so go ahead and give your sister a call. I know, I love my job, but the part I don't love is trying to get a hold of people, right, that don't have my number. So trust me, it's a lot easier if you give them a call. They're more likely to pick up for you than they are for me. Right, so go ahead and give them a call. Just put them on speaker and I'll handle the rest. They're gonna call. And even if they're like, oh, they might be at work, no problem. Like I said, put it on speaker. I'm gonna leave them a voicemail with my phone number and they can call me back. But again, it'll make it a lot easier to get out all that beneficiary paperwork to them. I mean, what are they gonna say, right? They're not gonna say no at that point. Now, you might get a little kickback about people working or they don't want to call them this late or this and that. 9 out of 10, I mean, I don't want to say 9 out of 10, but like 7 out of 10 times, doesn't matter the time, that person will still answer for their family, right? And they're not going to be upset about it over a 5-minute call. So now you get them on the phone. The whole key here, guys, is you don't want them saying too much to their sister or brother or whoever it is. You just basically want a phone pass off. And I know we're mostly on Zoom. I know, some of you guys are in person. In person, it's a lot easier to take control of that phone, right? But over Zoom, if you have the control, they're not going to overtalk. So you jump right in there. Oh, hey, this is Christina with American Income. I'm actually sitting, with your brother and sister-in-law, Joe and Mary here. And we were just going over some of their union benefits through the Teamsters. Yeah, we had such a great time. Honestly, I'm going to get in trouble by my next member. I've been spending way too long with these two, but they are just awesome. They showed me the dog, Toby, and blah, 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 right? Your building report. Anyways, primary reason I was giving you a call here, Sally, is because we just set them up with their life insurance policy. And actually, Joe and Mary, they actually listed you as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy through the Teamsters. So what we have to do is make sure that you accept the role and responsibility of being a beneficiary. Okay. Now, do you accept the role, Sally? You do. Okay, awesome. So now that you accept the role and responsibility of filing that paperwork and, you know, being responsible for that, what we have to do is get you out all the proper paperwork that you would need. God forbid something did happen to Joe and Mary. Okay, so we'll get you out the proof, the death forms, the claims forms. We'll go over all that, explain it to you. Okay. Now, of course, just like we're on Zoom with them here, Mary, or Sally, we're going to be doing the same thing, right? So I know you're married to Bob, right? Now, you know, we're kind of wrapping up the area here. It is super important. We do get you on our schedule though. Now, what time are you and Bob typically home together during the week? Okay, so you're home after 5. Great. So I'll tell you what, I'm super booked up, but I can actually squeeze you guys in tomorrow, anytime between 6 and 8 or anytime between 9 and 11. What time works best for you guys? Okay, perfect. Now you have a pen and paper? Oh, I'm going to need you to grab a pen and paper, Sally. I just have a few things to write down and then I'll send you over that Zoom link via email. Okay, great. Write down my name, Christina, right? And then you go through booking the rest of your appointment, right? Solidify at the end, of course. Now you don't, the same thing as the phones, guys. You don't see any reason at all that would not work. Okay, great. Just because, you know, here's the thing. Like I said, we're wrapping up the area. I do have about 15 to, 17 members I'm seeing per day there. And, I do want to make sure I get this taken care of for you, but I have to make sure it's 100% to be fair to all the people waiting to see us. Okay, great, Sally and Bob. So we'll be seeing you tomorrow now. Oh, almost forgot to mention now, one of the great things about being a beneficiary is that you'll have access to the same exclusive union benefits as your brother and sister-in-law took part of today. We'll be able to handle all that tomorrow, okay? All right, guys, looking forward to seeing you then. So they already know, right? We're not gonna get some kickback from our beneficiaries saying, oh, you're just trying to sell me life insurance. Right? We already told them. I am very transparent. And the script is very transparent, right? So there should never really be kickback or being scared to, Benny's are where it's at. You've already prepped them on the phone. They know what to expect. And you already told them, hey, you have access to the same program your brother and sister just did, which is buying life insurance. Right? So it's very direct. It's honestly the best lead there possibly is. Contingent. So we gotta roll with contingents. Okay. Good so far, guys? Yeah? All right, cool. Now, after your contingents, right, of course, we want to roll at least 2. Main thing there is the verbiage with, company requires. Now, after contingents, other second best one, VIBs, right? Your insurance referrals. Now, I hope every single person is doing VIBs. I mean, really, you kind of need it to do your policy summary sheets, right? I hope we're actually writing down what they thought was most valuable about the program, because that's huge. Shows that you're listening, that you're not just going through the motions, right? So big thing here, when you do VIBs, I have a policy summary sheet in my, on my desk here. And I'm going through and I'm asking them. And when I actually ask, oh, what did you find the most valuable about everything they went over today, Joe and Mary? I'm actually writing it on their sheet, right? So now they see that I care. Next, okay. Now with that in mind, right? And now why is VIBs important, guys? Because they're reselling themselves on everything we just went over, right? So referrals aside, they're solidifying themselves on you and the product. That not only you guys did a good job in explaining everything to them, but they saw value in everything that we went over. So they're reselling themselves. Now that they've resold themselves, right? I have an important question to ask you, with all that in mind. Now, guys, with your permission, of course, who could we brainstorm that you guys think would benefit from everything we went over today? Whether it's the actual, insurance itself, or if it's just the information alone. Who do you guys know that, maybe just got married, has some kids, or a small business owner, anything of that sort? Okay, blah, blah, blah. You get them I feel like a minimum of 2 insurance reps. And here's the other thing with, when you get to VIBs is a lot of times people want to give you people that they've already given you, right? I'm sure you guys have run into that. Oh, well, actually my sister that I told you about, right? So how do you kind of proactively let them know that those people will already be handled? You basically just say, hey, other than the people you already listed, of course, we'll make sure that they know they have access to the same programs as you today, just for you guys sponsoring them in. So other than the people you already listed for that health service discount card, child safe, and your beneficiaries, of course, who did you want, to make sure got access to this program as well? Remember, it's all about exclusivity, right? Maybe they didn't think of these people that they'd benefit from these other programs, but when it comes to the insurance, they're like, oh yeah, my best friend, she doesn't have any, but she has, XYZ, she has an good RX card, or kids are already protected, right? So you have to ask it in a way that they're thinking of new people. Okay. Now, once, they've kind of gone through that, the last thing, and this is obviously with unions, right? Or even POS who are unions, you guys can see on that, on their policy certificate, what kind of lead they were, right? So if they're union, or you found out through a report that they're union, then you have to be dropping that catch-up program, right? That's our last type here. And I almost make it seem like an accident, right? Like sometimes I throw it in there in VIBs and I'll do it as a suggestion. Other times I'm almost like wrapping up with them and like getting, like shuffling paperwork, acting like I'm putting something together. And I'm just like, oh, by the way, Joe, I know you've been in the Teamsters for 20 years. So I'm sure, some of your guys at work, some of your buddies probably filled out that card and we might not get to them, before we leave. So who do you want to make sure that we catch up with before we leave the area in the next few days? Which of your buddies, I know you've been there 20 years. Who do you want to start with that you want to make sure gets a call from me before I leave? And if they've been there a while and they have good friends, and hopefully they want to, help their buddies out, right? So that's just another way. And don't be afraid to use the catch up with POS, right? I feel like sometimes with POS, we're like used to just being quick and this and that, but don't forget they still have friends, right? They still have everything else. And probably realistically, guys, the people, even if they were seen 3 months ago, do you think that people were asking them for referrals the way that we are? Probably not. Do you think they were giving them the same service as we are? Probably not. So they're going to be much more willing to give you guys their people, right? Rather than someone who just called them over the phone and didn't want too much to do with them, right? So that's big. Now here's, the final touch, and I got to give, and again, guys, I didn't make any of this up, right? I didn't create any of this. I just implement. So this all stems from things that we've learned from, our leaders here and everything else. But this last thing, and I thought this was fire. This is actually, directly from Tommy. And he had mentioned one time that he asks for referrals in his thank you cards. And I think that's been like a game changer, right? So this is big, guys. So in the thank you card, obviously, you put your regular message, you make it personal, so it doesn't seem like a generic thing. But then he adds in, if you know anyone that can benefit from our programs, please don't hesitate to give me a call. The biggest compliment I could receive is the referral of your friends and family. And puts in 3 business cards. I'll run that back because I know not everyone got that. So we'll do it one more time. If you know anyone that can benefit from our programs, please don't hesitate to give me a call. The biggest compliment I can receive is the referral of your friends and family. And don't be stingy on the business cards. Throw them in there. You can order more. They have them, hopefully they give them out, right? So that's big. And that's just a few ways of, collecting those referrals, guys. Now, and again, if we're actually doing all of this, right? If we're hyping up the car or, the discount card, if we're showing concern about child safe, if we're, making it a requirement for contingent and everything else, right? Everything we went through, if we're doing all that and we are still struggling, then we have to look at our rapport, right? Because it all starts with the connection that we make with them from the very beginning. So, it's a direct correlation. If I don't get referrals at Health Service Discount Card, which is my first, I call them like pit stops, right? It's like my first pit stop of getting refs is at Health Service Discount Card. Now, if I don't get them there, then I know that they don't trust me yet. So what am I doing? I'm thinking about, okay, well, did I rush my report? Did I build enough? Did I show that I care? Right? They want them to know that you care. So go back to your rapport. If you're not collecting refs, you need to really analyze, what does my rapport look like? Am I rushing through rapport and am I just trying to jump into a sit? Or am I spending time to actually get to know them? It is a difference between asking, people questions and sounding like an interview, or actually being a person and getting to know them, right? There's key questions that we got to ask for sure, without a doubt. But we have to do it in a way where it's a conversation, not a checklist. There's too many times I hear people, with rapport, and it sounds like a checklist is going off in their head. Like, okay, I hit that, on to the next one. Oh, I got to ask about family now, checklist, right? Like we got to care. We got to be caring about these people. The more you care, the more they care to give you referrals. Okay. So if you're still struggling with all that, make sure we're looking at rapport. And yeah, of course, first part of the process is they buy you. And how do they buy you? Well, you got to be likable and trustworthy, right? Those are the two things. If you're not likable, I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm just kidding. But it all starts there. So I'll kind of open it up. I know that was a little quicker than I thought. I had 2 big pages of notes, so I'm a fast talker. So any questions? Okay. Who wants to go first? I saw both Stevens. You guys can unmute.
Christina, first off, appreciate all the fire. Good stuff here. Good job. My question is, when you actually sit down with these referrals, not contingents, because contingents are a little bit different, but like just like a discount card referral, child safe, whatever. What's your like go-to way of letting them know that this is very exclusive, and like kind of paint the picture where they would never have this access unless they got sponsored in, and if they can qualify, we have to get this taken care of today. Like build up that urgency and prevent them from holding off, wanting to think about it towards the end. Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So obviously I think it's a big thing about like your why we're there, right? So I think it's just kind of changing that up to let them know like, hey, like, and again, I always bring it back to like thanking the people who got them into the program. So like, hey guys, I could talk to you all day, but we have a few members after us, so we'll go ahead and jump into it. Now, of course, guys, your brother and sister, your brother, sister-in-law, Joe and Mary, they set you up with the Health Service Discount Card. Okay. And again, guys, that card, it's a saving card designed to save our members, blah, 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 blah. Now, guys, you got access to this because they sponsored you in. Now, the great thing about this is because you're sponsored in, you're actually going to have access to the same exclusive union benefits that Joe and Mary took part in as well, as long as you can qualify. Now, here's the issue, guys. Now, typically you'd have to be like in a union or a group to even have access to any of this, right? The union benefits, but you are getting access, but we do have to qualify. Now, every single person that we sit down with tries to qualify for these exclusive benefits. But the issue is that not everyone can qualify. To be honest, we actually get the additional permanent insurance benefits at a union negotiated rate. So it is a little bit harder to qualify for. But guys, if we can qualify, then of course we have to get you squared away with that today as well. We do this on an enrollment basis. Now, if we could not qualify, guys, we just couldn't handle that part of the program. Okay. And again, I know you want to thank Owen Mary for this because, like I said, guys, you'd have to be in a union or a group and pay those union dues and member fees to even get access to any of this. So as long as, we could qualify, we'll get you squared away with that. If not, we can't. But either way, you want to thank Joe and Mary for the opportunity to do so. Okay. So I think it just goes back to, telling them what you're doing, building the exclusivity of, hey, you wouldn't even have access to this. Joe and Mary, you owe them a huge thank you, really. Send them a card, send them some flowers. I crack some jokes in there, smile a lot. And I basically do the takeaway, right? I even do it a little bit like more extreme. They could be 19 years old, healthiest kids in the world. I'm still going to do the takeaway and just make it all about that union negotiated rate, about how it's exclusive. It's really hard. Like, think about it. Like, if there's like a cool place to go to, right? And they only let a certain amount of people in, you're going to want to go to that place really bad. But if everyone could go there, it doesn't make it as fun. So the minute they hear that they might not be able to have this, they're more interested and they're more like, excited to try to qualify. So I think I just really harp on like the takeaway aspect, if that helps at all.
Thank you. That was good.
No problem. Yeah.
So something I run into a lot when it comes to collecting referrals is people who say that the whole line of, oh, they wouldn't, I'm not going to give away their number, or they wouldn't want to sit down with you over Zoom, or basically giving some kind of excuse like that, like not wanting to give their number away, or they're not going to want to do this, or have an appointment like this, or something like that. Is there a way to proactively beat that, or is there something you can do in that moment to kind of ameliorate that?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, good question. So, I think one thing that I kind of failed to mention too is after I collect the referrals, I definitely let them know that I'll be calling them. But, if they're like proactively saying like, okay, like I don't want to give you their information because I don't like giving out their numbers, things of that sort. What I say is actually, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you brought that up. I almost forgot to say, I won't call them until you've spoken to them first. Right? Because trust me, I call people all the time. They think I'm a telemarketer or a scammer. They don't know my number. Right? So don't even worry, Joe and Mary. You have to call them first before I can even get in contact with them. I make it seem like it was a given all the time. You know what I mean? Like I just forgot to mention it, but they have to contact them first. And if they're still like, well, I'm not giving it out, my family's weird about that and this, that, and the other, then you know what? Like you don't want to kill the sale or anything like that by like pushing. Then I said, oh, no problem. Why don't you do this? Shoot them a text while we're still talking here. Separately, of course. Text each of your people separate real quick. I'm going to send you a text to just forward over to them just to make sure they know I'll be contacting them. And we'll get their information at the end. So just try to like proactively beat it that way. Now, I'm not going to lie. You're going to have some people where like, some people have been burnt with scammers, especially if you're servicing, Southside Chicago. I've had it a lot where they refuse to give out their family's information. It's going to happen. There's no way to always beat it, but I think it's all about like, the rapport you built with them, that they still trust you, right? And also that they would like, you have enough control to where they will like call their family right then and there, or like, you know, that's a great way to roll referrals right there. I've rolled referrals just from Health Service Discount Card, like at that point, just because people wouldn't give me their family's information. Oh, no problem. We got time. Go ahead, give them a call. See if they're interested. I'm sure they will be, right? Oh, go ahead, put them on speaker. It's not even my phone number. Right? Like I just make everything seem like it's no big deal. And it was all their idea. And they love it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Christina.
No problem. Any other questions?
I do. I have a question if anyone else. Hi, Christina. It's me.
Hey.
So I know that like me and some other people have had some problems with like getting contingents to show up. And like, I feel like no matter how, if I rolled them or if I called them on my own, no matter how the rapport is, no matter how important or how much I solidified, sometimes they just don't show, which doesn't really make any sense to me at all. And so I'm just kind of like, does that happen to you? What do you do if they no show you? Do you just keep calling? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. It's really funny because I had a conversation with Gio. I was like, hey, every time I roll contingents, like they're no showing me, like what's going on, you know? So it definitely happens to me too. Like, you know, like it happens, but I just stay on them. And sometimes like you know, like sometimes you got to give these people some space. Like think about it, you know, we say that we're busy, important, and control, right? So if we're as busy as we say we are, and we're calling them every single day, probably doesn't seem that busy, right? Or a little too eager. I call my refs all the time, don't get me wrong. But there's times where if I've called them a few times and I'm not having access, you know, any luck, or they no-showed me 2 weeks ago and I called them that day, I called them the next day, nothing. I'll call them a week or two later and catch them off guard. And you better believe they're not going to no-show me the next time because I just called them out. And the way that conversation looks, because I know it happens, and you're right, it doesn't make sense, Faith. They're the ones collecting the death benefit. They have to know how this works. It's actually very important information. So I think as long as we're like following that contingent script, right, and we're really building the importance on like, hey, this is what's going to let you know how you receive this death benefit, and you are responsible, that eventually, you know, they should be willing to sit down with you. And I think it all just kind of goes back to like, you know, building kind of like the importance of it again. But I'll call them back like 2 weeks later. Actually, yesterday, I had referrals from a whole family that just everyone didn't answer me. I rolled 2 of them. They both no-showed me. And then the family like hadn't been answering. I took a week off from like the calling, right? And I got 5 of them on my schedule for today and tomorrow. They all didn't answer me the first 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden I gave them like a week and a half break and I booked 5 of them. So I think it's just being persistent. Like don't give up on your refs. That's huge.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I probably cover this a lot, so bear with me. So getting proactively in front of the issue that I've been foreseeing, which is some people on the phone have been like, I don't understand if it's just the paperwork, you know, why you can't send that to me, it doesn't make sense. I understand how to fill it out, it's a scam, things like that. And I know the script is supposed to cover it, but sometimes it's just not getting through to them. What would you do in a scenario like that to kind of let them know that this is something we have to go over for them?
Yeah, great question, G. So I feel like the biggest thing is, you know, like throwing the questions back at them. Oh, great. So you already know how that works. Okay, great. So do you know about the freedom of choice certificate? Oh, you don't know about the freedom of choice. That's exactly why we have. Wow, you don't know. Okay, that's what I thought, but I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy, right? No, I mean, I just turn it all on them. You turn every situation, right? It's all about like, you know, rebuttal then close, rebuttal then close. So it's the same thing in your SID, it's the same thing on the phones. So if they, you know, it's basically if they have, you know, they hit you with something silly like, oh, I already know. You don't know because you didn't sit with me, right? So I just make them feel silly. Like I just turned it on them. So I think of whichever like thing I could think of. Okay, yeah, you filed a death claim. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sure that was really tough to go.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hold on, we got technical issues going on.
Are we having troubles?
Little technical difficulty we got going on.
Okay.
Remind me of my dad.
Let me know when you're good.
We'll go back there.
We're gonna get back out to see.
Alright, so I think we have to
There
get.
you go.
And we have it on the computer now. I'm gonna just text out. We can-
We're just like, hands up.
I know how to turn the volume off.
Oh, here comes Edgar to save the day.
Thank you, Edgar.
Can you guys hear me virtually? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, we'll just wait for them real quick. Better? Good? Okay. So yeah, everything is just good.
Yeah, we can still hear you through
We
the
can still hear
computer.
you on.
And you can hear me.
There we go.
Oh, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, I'll keep talking.
Thank you, Edgar.
Yeah, keep-
Perfect. So basically, you just rebuttal then close. Anytime they have something negative to say about why they shouldn't do it or why they can't do it or why they know more than you do, remember, it's all about confidence. So I just literally think of everything I'm going to go over, right? And if they're still giving you a hard time, you're like, oh, well, remember, I just said we'll have access, right? If this is still in the booking process rather than like the sit down, I'll even bring in how they have access to the same exclusive benefits, and I'll talk about the no cost rather than just like, the permanent additional insurance benefits, like the actual life insurance. So I'll actually talk about like, yeah, well, I don't know if you got to talk to your sister and brother, but did they tell you like you're going to get like a savings card? And let me ask you, do you have a will? How many people that actually have a will, right? So, I mean, there's different ways around it to just get them understanding that like everything we're going to go over, they don't know, or they're not like the all knowing, all telling.
Christina, I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to referrals, I've been doing a lot better at getting them on my schedule, but do you do like the whole area to area kind of thing that we do with the unions? Or because I'll have some referrals will be like, well, I'm pretty booked up this week. Like, how about like on the weekend when it's like a Monday night? So how do you kind of go? Because they kind of like have the mindset of like, oh, I can just call you, since you're like responsive.
Yeah. That's a good question. So I think another thing is I know, we're really used to saying like, oh, it's our last day, right? It's our last day. So I actually changed, mine to kind of being like the last few days in the area when I'm presenting to the family. So now when they're giving me referrals for their family, I've already proactively said I only have a few days left. So now when I call their family, I'm saying the same thing. I don't say that it's my last day in the area and the sit so that I can proactively get their family on my schedule in the next few days. And now in the entire family's mindset, I only have a few days left. So I think that's where we get a little tripped up is like the last day or I'm leaving and this and that or whatever. Now, of course, they don't see, I know what you're saying, like they don't see like the importance of doing it right then, right there. They're doing this as like a favor or whatever it might be, or on someone else's time. I think it just goes back to the importance of like, oh my gosh, Sally, you're so right. I know life's crazy right now, and I'm sure you have 1,000,005 things going on. And trust me, I actually have quite a bit of members to get to before I do leave the area, but they're actually shipping me out to Milwaukee next week. And guess what? Once I got there, I'm so sorry, but I won't be able to handle, anything regarding, the Chicagoland area for you. So it is really important that I do get you taken care of at least this week. I might extend it a little bit longer, right? They're a referral. I'm more willing to give them a little bit of leniency. But, I think the biggest thing is like, you don't want to piss off a ref, right? But you also don't want to lose control. So I keep the control with still having it in my timeline of like being within that week and setting them on the schedule when I have them on the phone. And then guess what? Like if something actually does come up that day and they let you know, and then I solidify really hard. But say something does come up that day, then yeah, I'm still gonna let them reschedule, you know, for like the next day or something, and just make it seem like I just got extended because we didn't catch up with enough people. But I'm not letting them schedule a week or 2 weeks out, because that doesn't make me seem busy, important, or in control, right? Like we run the ship, they don't run it.
I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what you just said makes a lot of sense, and you know, that's what I do too. But when you talk about, you know, don't give up on your refs, and you give them like a week break from calling, and then you call them like 2 weeks later because they no-showed you. What do you say? Hey, I'm still in the area. Let's get this taken care of. Like what?
No, I actually I'll like say that I've been gone. Like this time around, it actually worked out because we actually were in Cancun. Now I didn't tell them I was in Cancun, but I said, you know, hey, yeah, I actually got shipped out to Texas, right? And I just got back. But you know, we had so many members we had to still get to, and a lot of beneficiaries that we didn't get to, you know, handle. So I'm actually back for only this week. So we'll make sure we get you taken care of while I'm here.
Good answer.
Chrissy, I got a question. I got
Yes.
two actually. So, on the policy service request form, whenever you do get a contingent, do you, because I know there's a couple different sections on that piece of paper, do you just get the name and phone number? Do you fill in like the address, the birth, or the birthday, how they're related?
So I kind of do it. I mean, here's the thing. It really depends. Not everyone knows everyone's like address, right? Like I wouldn't know anyone's address. So I cross that out and I put where address is, phone number. If they know their date of birth, like say it's close family, or if they already know it, then like ask for it. But a lot of times I'm just trying to get a name and a phone number. I'm not too concerned about, of course, a relationship, always a relationship. Any type of referral you get, you should be asking, oh, okay, and who's this related to you? Oh, your bestie? Okay, I'll put a star next to bestie there. Oh, okay, your sister? How many sisters you got? Right? Like you're just making more rapport, finding like good things to kind of find out about them. And maybe I'll put like, not on the actual like PSR form, but I have like a separate thing. Like I actually do a Google Doc that has all of my referrals on it. And I have a note section. So any rapport building that I had with that person, like about their sister, or like funny things to bring up during their sit or anything like that, then I put that on a Google Doc. But on the actual like PSR form, I'm just putting their name, phone number, and if they know their date of birth.
Perfect.
In relationship.
Another quick question. So if you have a POS and you already assume that they have 1 to 2 beneficiaries, because you're not really looking at the policy itself to see that, do you just basically go back to the script you said, like, guys, I know you put down your beneficiaries, but due to the 1.7 billion, because since they're already a POS, you kind of want to leak into another referral kind of, but make it look like they need more beneficiaries just in case, like back to that 1.7 billion?
So either way, like a lot of times if people haven't been seen in a long time, they don't even remember who they put. Like you'll run into a lot of times POS being like, oh, who did I put for my beneficiaries? And I'm like, oh, exactly, guys. That's why we actually realign your beneficiaries today during your final review. So don't even worry if you don't know who they were. That's all protected by HIPAA. I don't even have access to that, but we're going to take care of that later. Right? So I kind of handle it that way. Now, once you actually get to that, it's the same thing, the contingent script. So what we're going to do today is we're going to realign your beneficiaries for you and make it seem like we're just updating it. And if they've added coverage, if it's a POS and they added coverage, they need 4 additional ones for the new policy. So either way, you shouldn't really have any kickback. And if they say, oh, we're going to keep them the same. Yep, no problem. That's completely fine. We could definitely keep them the same, but we do have to resubmit this for your final review. So who did you have as your first, second, third, fourth, right? Like if it was a no sale, you should still be able to get their bennies that way. And just say, you know, as a refresher, we also have to contact those beneficiaries again, just to make sure they know the rules and responsibilities. We've updated some of the paperwork. We'll make sure we get them out the new claims forms. We'll get them the updated freedom of choice certificate. So no problem.
But it wouldn't even matter if they gave you the same names on the application, because more than likely those beneficiaries weren't contacted anyway.
Exactly.
Cool,
So.
thank you.
Anyone else?
Just one thing about the AL Plus cards.
Yeah.
What I've gotten a couple times is that when I ask for the AL Plus cards, referrals are like, so why can't you just send out these cards to them? Why do you have to meet with them? Well, what's your answer to that? Because I just say, well, I'm just required to sit down with them so they fully understand how the program works and how to use it before we enroll them. I just make it sound like it's just a requirement for them to get it, that they have to sit down with me. Is that, do you do anything different other than that?
Yeah, so I think proactively, like I know we have to prove credibility for a lot of things, right? So what I do is when I'm actually going through my AIL Plus, I'm actually sharing my e-app. I share my screen on the e-app where it has that page that has like the AIL Plus information. And that's where I'm filling out their family's info. So I let them know that I'm registering them for the card. So I get through it and then I unshare my screen. So when I actually ask for the referrals, like they already know I've had to go through like a system to get them registered for the card. And I don't think they really question me actually having to sit down with them or whatever it is. And plus, when I am telling them, you know, hey, I'm going to give them a call to deliver and explain this to them. You know, I'm saying that after I collect the referrals. So I'm telling, you know, the people like that I'm sitting with, like, let's say Joe and Mary. Yeah, Joe and Mary. So, you know, again, with these people that you listed here, so, and then I list them so that they know exactly who it was, right? So you want to make sure that you let them know I'll be giving them a call here in the next 2 days. Now I can't today because I'm swamped, but I'm going to try to give them a call tomorrow, either in the morning or evening. So make sure you let them know that I'll be calling them to get this card delivered and explained to them the same way we did today, okay? And then I keep talking. I think the biggest thing is like, you just talk with confidence and you keep it rolling. Like I literally talk until they're forgetting what I'm saying and then they're just moving on to the next thing. And now I'm on to my next benefit, right? Like I don't pause or give them any time to have negative feedback. Good?
Thank you.
Well, I feel like we could do one more question and then I know it's 11. You up? Yep, Viv.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Okay, so the question I have is I just started, we didn't have any union leads yesterday. So I just started on the child safety. Okay. So before I know it's the union. And so I could say, oh, it's through the union. Now all of a sudden, I don't know where this lead is coming from. So, you know, and then, so we got the child safety leads. So when I present to them the child safety leads, and then I get the referral like, oh, help blanket. But how did they get it in the beginning so that I could say, oh, it's not XYZ that, you know, referred you. And then how can you refer them? So how did they get that lead? So, because I want to understand so that I can build a rapport like, oh, you know, it's exclusive. Or did they just get it on the internet? Then it wouldn't be exclusive. So I want to get that kind of rapport, but I don't understand how did we get that lead so that I can go into my referral like, oh, see how XYZ got you this. So now you can help blanket the area and help the policeman too. So how can, you know, so stuff like that. Where did we get that lead from?
Good question. So you're talking about like actual child safe leads, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Because like the union, we get it from their union, their work.
Yeah.
That so they understand where we're coming from. Where is the child safety coming from?
So they've actually requested this information.
On the computer, like online?
I believe it's usually online. There's also child safe boxes that they have like around cities and different areas and things of that sort where parents can fill out information and then it gets sent into the company and they put them through, they actually process them into our lead software. And I believe that's how it works. If it's not spot on, someone awesome, you could correct me, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So they did request this. So, you know, as far as them, like, again, it's all a mindset. I think of everything as we're providing a service. I believe in what we do, and I believe that they're getting the best experience by sitting down with me. So it's all a mindset of, hey, you requested this. I'm here to serve your family and make sure you guys are in a better spot today than when we first sat down with you. Doesn't matter what kind of lead it is. Doesn't matter if it's a referral. And then collecting the referrals off of the child safe is the same script.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's the same
Yes.
thing of, you know, hey, you guys saw value in this. That's why you requested this, right? And actually, you know, the police and the firefighters, they do have a request for you as well. And then you go into the same script. But again, everything's about, you know, I think it's all about like giving them perspective on it too. And when you really think it, like, sometimes I think we're so script driven that we forget to take a step back and actually think about the words we're saying. Right. And I know in the beginning, I was the same way. I sounded like a robot. I was not having an easy time, you know, trying to add my personality into it. I'm like, oh my God. But it's very easy once you step back and you read the words and you think about, oh my goodness, we are saving children and we are protecting them and we are helping other families protect their kids. It's not even going to be a question that these people should be giving you child safe referrals, right? So I think it goes back to mindset and build up.
Yeah, it's just, it helps me to how to go about if I know where they are getting this from. Like before I know the union is getting from work, I was confident. And then all of a sudden this, and they're like, where did they get it from? Nobody answered me that before. So I had to ask you. Thank you so much.
No problem, guys. Well, I don't know if anyone else had any other questions. I know it's 11. I know we got some review previews to do, I'm sure, and some appointments. Any last minute? No? Okay. Well, guys, I hope that was, you know, some good stuff for ya. Hope we took some good notes.
All right. Thank you.
Let's go crush it today, guys. Let's implement.
Christina, thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Thank you for your time, girl.
Bye.
No problem, guys. See ya.
Dude, right? Your girlfriend's gonna come back.